Hello guys, see you long time. Okay, my name is Alya Khassanatul and my friend is Rofi Ah Kurniawati. We will explain about clause of concessions. The first definitions. A concessive clause is a clause which begins with although or even though and which expresses an idea that suggests the opposites of the main part of the sentence. The first example, he had enough money. He refused to buy a new car. The above two statements can be combined as follows. Although even though he had enough money, he refused to buy a new car, or he refused to buy a new car, although even though he had enough money. Structure. Although and even though introduce concessive clause. Although or even though plus subject plus verb. The example. Although it was raining, he walked to the stations. Even though she is very old, she runs fast. Despite and in spite of do not introduce a concessive clause, they are rather followed by a noun or a verb plus in verb.
Okay, thank you Alya for your explanation. Let's move on to despite and in spite of. Okay, before I start to explain the material, I'm sorry I will use English mixing with bahasa. Okay, let's get started. You know that despite and in spite of have a similar meaning to although or even though, but they don't introduce clauses. Remember, they don't introduce clauses. They have different structure. They are followed by nouns or gerunds. Gerund is verb plus ing. So what's the correlation about clause of concession? Okay, basically they have a similar meaning. They giving an idea that suggests the opposite or contrast of main part of the sentence. Jadi dalam satu kalimat itu terdapat dua pernyataan yang kontras atau saling berlawanan. Baik itu although, even though, maupun despite, in spite of, itu sama-sama memberikan pernyataan yang berlawanan terhadap kalimat utamanya. Nah, yang membedakan itu hanya pada struktur kalimatnya. For the example, there are two statements. He had enough money and he refused to buy a new car. The statements can be combined as despite all his money, he refused to buy a new car, or in spite of having enough money, he refused to buy a new car. Or you can also put despite and in spite of in the middle of the statement. Example, he refused to buy a new car despite all his money. Or he refused to buy a new car in spite of having enough money. And then structure. As you can see that despite and in spite of are followed by a noun and gerunds or verb ing. Example, despite of the rain, he walked to the station. Nah, in here, the rain is noun. And if you wanna use gerund, you can say, in spite of being tired, he walked to the station. That's it. Then the next slide is remember. You have to remember that although and even though followed by clauses or subject plus verb. Then despite and in spite of are followed by noun or gerunds, verb ing. Okay, that's all from us. Thanks a lot for your attention. Bye.